This is the first episode. Were you guys prepared for this? I've only been talking for like 5 minutes. Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to another video here on my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. I am excited to be here. I'm a little low energy today, honestly. I'm hoping I'll like shake it off as we start filming. I probably will, but I don't know about you guys. The Mercury retrograde happened last week. We came out of it, and then we had a new moon, and normally I'm like ready to go, rock and roll, everything is better, and for some reason I'm just like so low energy. I don't know what it is. There's been a lot going on in the last like 30 days in our household. I've talked about some of it with you guys. I'm a 2023 bride, and I'm doing pretty much everything myself with a wonderful team around me, but like as far as like DIY goes, like I'm designing everything alone. Yeah, it's just been a lot, but you know, we're here today to talk about the Vampire Diaries, and this is going to help me. This is going to be a nice little creative release. We're going to talk about vampires. We're going to talk about werewolves a little bit, one in particular which I cannot stand and I wish we did not have to discuss. We're going to talk about hybrids. We're going to talk about vampire hunters. If you're not already subscribed to the channel and you are here for another one of these videos, please subscribe. I know that probably gets old hearing YouTubers say it, but it's really helpful. The algorithm is always changing. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say algorithm. There's so many little rules. But every new subscriber and like and comment on the videos helps me get my videos out there to more people, and the community grows, and then there's more of us, and I am able to do this long term. That's the goal. I'm in a very interesting life position right now that I would love to one day talk about more with you guys. But yeah, this is a big goal and a big hope of mine, and I'm watching it happen, and a lot of you guys are excitedly watching it happen with me. So yeah, we're fingers crossed, you know? We're gonna see what happens. But today we're gonna talk about season 4 of the Vampire Diaries. Let's get into it. So we open with Elena in bed. She wakes up and Stefan's sitting beside her, and Damon is kind of like on the window seat off to the corner, and she's like, what's going on? What happened? And they kind of explain to her, you know, Rebecca drove you and Matt off the bridge, and she's like, oh my god, is Matt okay? And Damon's like, yeah, Matt's fine because somebody decided to save him. And Stefan's like, okay, yeah, Matt's totally fine. I saved Matt, and you died, and you had vampire blood in your system. And Elena's like, no, but that would mean, and they're like, yeah, girl, you are now a transitioning vampire. So Elena starts freaking out because she was ready to die, and she didn't want this. She doesn't want to be a vampire. Damon is like, there's nothing else for it, homie. If you don't want to die for real now, you're gonna have to feed so that you can become a vampire. And Stefan is like, bup, bup, bup. There is actually a secret third option, okay? Bonnie thinks that she's figured out a way to keep you human, so we can hope that Bonnie will figure that out and everything will be fine. And Elena's like, yes, I would like to use Stefan's third option. And Damon is like, you know what, Elena? Whatever you want. We're always listening to your decisions, so of course, you're in charge. Elena really struggles with the turn, and because she's our main character, I think they do the best job of like showing us this. We kind of get to see through her eyes that like the lights are bothering her, they're really bright, the sounds are really grating on her. So it's kind of like she's got a really extreme migraine, but then also she wants to eat her little brother. If you guys hear any random noises aside from my AC, which I know goes off and on during these, but my cats, my 2 little angel babies, I'll put them on the screen. I have so many cute pictures of them now. They are playing off to the left. They're occupying themselves, but I'm not gonna put them away because I don't want them to cry in another room. So if you hear random things, or if the tripod that you're balanced on moves, just know that that's them saying hello. So Klaus, remember, is trapped in Tyler's body right now, and he wants out, but Bonnie is like, now look, I have to try to figure out how to save Elena first. And Klaus is like, no, you need to handle me. I'm the most important. And she's like, Klaus, if I can save Elena, then you can have hybrids, okay? So let's try to figure out that first, because we know that's what you really want. The pastor of the town comes to see Meredith. We've not really seen this guy yet, but he shows up up and he's like, hi Meredith, you should start looking for another job. Carol's no longer the mayor, Liz is fired, and I'm taking over. Matt and Caroline are talking in his hospital room. He's really upset about Elena, and Caroline's basically like, you know, she made the decision, it wasn't your fault, you can't blame yourself. But you know, he's already been struggling with like guilty feelings of like being the normal one that can't do anything, and now he's the reason why Elena's a vampire. So it's very upsetting for him. Caroline was meant to run away, but she didn't, so she's a fugitive right now because you remember Liz and Carol are in trouble, so Tyler and Caroline are in trouble. So she hasn't left yet because she didn't know where to go, and she starts crying in the room with Matt, and he gives her a big hug. Carol is arrested at home, and that's when she finds out she's not the mayor anymore, and she is basically being taken so that they can try to find out where Tyler is. At the same time, Liz gets snatched, and they're like, you're not the sheriff anymore, Liz. We took the town's vervain supply, including the stuff we found in the Salvatore house. We're making our move. Caroline gets snatched while she's leaving her house. Elena tries to eat a sandwich that Stefan makes her, and she can't because it tastes terrible. And then she makes a joke about crossing a bridge when they come to it, and then, you know, because she just died going over a bridge, she freaks out and starts laughing. Then she starts crying, and Stefan is like, yeah, you need to go lay down because this is going to keep happening. You're just on a roller coaster of emotions. Well, when she goes upstairs, she sees Damon in her room, but it's not really Damon, it's a memory, and she starts unlocking all the memories, including the one she's witnessing right now, which is the one where he came to her to give her back her necklace and was like, I have to be selfish just this one time, you just have to hear it just this once, I love you, and that's why I can't be selfish with you, I have to let you go, I wish you could remember this, but you can't. And then he left her there. Now she remembers that, which means she's also gonna remember that she met him first. Rebecca goes through Klaus's drawings and cries, and then has a hissy fit and starts throwing stuff because that family does not know how to regulate themselves. You know, one emotion leads to another. Somebody always ends up dead. Damon shows up and she's like, don't you know better than to sneak up on a lady? And he's like, oh, do you see any around here? Burn. He tries to stake her because he is so done with her bullshit and what she did to Elena. She freaks out on him and of course is gonna win, but then before she can kill him, somebody starts shooting through the windows and gets her with wooden bullets. Elena gets called downstairs and Stefan is surrounded by a SWAT team and he's also being taken. Carol calls Tyler, who is, you know, still technically Klaus, so he's like, oh, insufferable woman, and he answers and he's like, hi mom, what do you want? And she explains what's happening and she's like, look, I'm trying to get you out of town, you can't be anywhere near Caroline, Caroline's been taken. And Tyler's like, what do you mean? Because it's Klaus. And so he immediately is like, 911, emergency, I have to go save my girlfriend. We cut to Caroline in the back of a van with Rebecca. They're like, what are we doing? Where are we going? And then they get run off the road. There's a bad wreck. Before the cop car that is not hurt comes back around to get them again, Tyler pops out and is like, Caroline, I got you. He saves her. And then Rebecca is like, hey, what about me? And he leans back into the car and he's like, keep 'em busy, little sister. Damon, Liz, and Meredith meet up to make a plan together. Matt shows up and is like, what can I do? How can I help? And Damon just jumps on him and is like, in what world are you the one who gets to live? And then they have to convince him not to kill Matt, even though he comes very close to doing it. Elena has been taken to the pastor's house. They do not know she's in transition. So the pastor is basically like, don't worry, Elena, we're going to keep you safe from them. We're going to use you and Stefan to lure Damon over here. And then we're going to use Rebecca to lure her brothers back to town. And then we're going to kill all of them. You're going to be safe. Well, Elena freaks out because everything is too loud. She's too overwhelmed. She goes running outside. And when she gets outside, they realize something's wrong with her and they grab her. Caroline is excitedly kissing Tyler in the woods, which means, yes, she's excitedly kissing Klaus in Tyler's body in the woods. In his defense, he does very weakly try to stop her multiple times, and she keeps talking over him before he can fully explain. But then he says, easy love, wrong equipment, wrong time or something. And she's like, what are you talking about? It's the perfect time. And then she's like, hold on. Did you just call me love? And he's like, yes, I did. And then she figures it out and she's like, you're disgusting. And he's like, I know. Also, you're a really good kisser. And she's like, ew. no, what the fuck is going on? The spirits don't want to help Bonnie save Elena. She tells Jeremy she can try one more thing, but it's going to require her going to the other side. And Jeremy's like, you mean dying? And she's like, yes, if I do the Heartstopper spell on myself, I go to the other side, I can bring Elena's soul back across. And Jeremy's like, that feels unsafe. And she's like, it'll be fine. I'm really strong now. I have a new way of using my power. And he's like, I still don't feel good about this, but she convinces him. Matt helps the gang figure out that they are probably at the pastor's cattle ranch because there's like big stalls that could be modified to hold vampires. Let him have his moment, okay? Maddie figured it out. They go running to find them, and we see that Rebecca and Stefan are in separate cells. Elena's also there. There's Vervain being like funneled in through the vent system, and they've all been weakened. Elena also never fed, so she's gonna die in about 3 hours. Bonnie does the spell, and it freaks out Jeremy because he sees all the scary black lines on her again. And then when she wakes up in Elena's cell, she's like, okay, perfect, it worked. She goes to bring Elena out. Elena starts like following Bonnie, but then Grams shows up and is like, Bonnie, stop. This is not your thing to fix. You need to go, get out of here. If you mess with this magic again, the spirits are going to punish you. So Bonnie gets taken away from Elena, and then she wakes up with Jeremy. Klaus Tyler insists that if Bonnie doesn't do the spell, he's just gonna rip out Tyler's heart and bounce into another body, maybe Jeremy's, and he'll just start killing people until Bonnie helps him. So finally Bonnie agrees. Elena is dying. Stefan is really upset with himself because he should have just listened to Damon, and she's like, no, you had hope, and that's all I ever wanted for you. I don't want you to lose that. Then he says that he loves her so much, and she's like, do you know why I was coming back to town? I was coming back for you, Stefan. I love you too. And then they have this moment where they're like, I wish I could see you. And then they both go, I'm smiling, even though they're not. They're both really upset. Damon and Matt show up to the pastor's house. Damon attempts to use Matt as bait. It does not work the way that they plan, and Matt ends up getting hurt. Bonnie does the spell, and it seems to work, but then Tyler like starts coughing and passes out, and Caroline's terrified. And then Bonnie sees Grams show up. She holds on to Bonnie's hands and she can't let go, and the dark magic that Bonnie used goes into Grams, and Grams is like, this is your punishment. They're hurting me because of what you did. And then Grams is like taken over by the darkness, and she's in a ton of pain, and Bonnie gets scared and finally lets go of her and then starts freaking out, trying to figure out what she did exactly. Tyler is unconscious on the ground. He's fine, but we're not going to come back to this again, okay? They're just going to jump ahead, and we're going to find out that Klaus got put in his body and Tyler's fine. No more repercussions, but for some reason they don't like button the scene and tell us what happened. Rebecca, because she's a hopeless romantic, helps Stefan get a guard, and they knock him out and kill him, get his blood to like pool next to Elena's cell, and she's able to get just a little bit of it, which means she's gonna live. Damon tries to kill Matt out of anger again, but Elena shows up full vampire to stop him. Then Stefan ends up giving Matt blood to heal him, because remember, he got hurt in the scuffle that happened. But then Matt is like, oh my god, stop healing me. I'm so sick of being saved. And Stefan's like, you're sick of being saved. We're sick of saving you, dude. You need to be better, okay? Elena gave up her life for you. Every day that you wake up, you need to earn it. You need to earn your life, which is just like wildly unfair to me. Like, Matt's allowed to have survivor's guilt. Matt's allowed to feel upset about what happened. He didn't want to be picked over Elena any more than the boys wanted to pick him over Elena. So like, calm down. Elena tells Damon that she remembers everything now, and boy, is he spooked by this. He confirms for her that if it had been him in Stefan's place that night, he absolutely would have let Matt die in order to save Elena, because he's always going to pick her, and even if it goes against her wishes, he's going to do what he has to do to keep her safe. It's a really good monologue for him. It's all about like how he thought her human life was silly in the beginning, but now that he's in love with her, he like desperately wants her to have that chance. chance, so he would always do whatever he can to give it to her. Klaus is back in his body. Rebecca shows up to confront him, and she's like, I can't believe you let me think you were dead. I mourned you. I was so upset. And he's like, yeah, well, now I'm back. Like, get over it. Everything's fine. And she freaks out on him and grabs the blood that he took from Elena that he's been keeping safe, and she's holding it. And he's like, Rebecca, what are you doing? Put it down. If you do this, like, we're not family anymore. And she's like, here's your family. And she grabs it and squeezes all the blood out. And he, like, really panics over that, even though, like, theoretically you could just, like, scoop it up and save it and, you know, still use it. It'd be a little dusty maybe from being on the floor, but, like, it could be done. And instead of thinking like that, he just freaks out on her and is like, from this moment forward, we're not siblings, we're not family, I hate you, you're dead to me. And he breaks her neck and leaves her there. Stefan and Elena watch the sunrise together. She's coming to terms with things pretty quickly now. She was very upset initially, but now she's like, you know, at least I do get to live. Like, even though this isn't the life I wanted, I'm gonna get to live. I'm gonna be a sister and a friend, and I'll be with you potentially forever if that's what we want. And it's a cute moment. He gives her her daylight ring that Bonnie made so that now they can actually watch like the full sunrise, and they kiss. So I guess they're back together now. Final scene of the episode is the pastor bringing the council members, minus like Liz and Carol. So anybody that's like connected to the supernatural does not come, but the pastor invites the council members over to his house, and he's like, look, we have a vampire problem. We're gonna figure it out. Everybody's gonna be okay. He undoes the gas line behind his stove, and he's like, we are the beginning. I'm here to bring you forward through into a new life. We're starting over together. I'll see you on the other side. And then he blows them up. Episode 2. Elena and Stefan wake up in the woods. He's taking her on like a camping trip situation to teach her how to feed off of animals. He's worried that because her compassion is her like leading character trait, he's like, if she hurts anybody, it's gonna destroy her and we're gonna lose her. So if I can get her on the bunny diet right away, she'll be just fine. Damon is like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. She needs fresh blood from the vein. She's a new vampire. We need to get ahead of the bloodlust and help her get through it as early as possible so that it's not a surprise later on. Elena wants to try the bunny diet against Damon's wishes. In the woods, Elena goes through with her first animal feeding, and then her and Stefan start getting freaky. But then she gets sick and runs off and throws the blood up. This guy shows up and starts searching the pastor's house. He finds a note in the stove. Liz goes to Damon and asks if he did the killing at the pastor's house, and he's like, no, Liz, I didn't. I take credit when I murder people. And she's like, right. So who did? And he's like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. It seems like the pastor just wanted to take out the whole council for some reason. Well, then this guy shows up again and says his name is Connor Jordan, and he tries to talk to Liz, and he's basically like, I'm an independent contractor. I'm just looking into what happened at the pastor's house. And she blows him off and says, oh, it was a gas leak, like gives him the same spiel that they already did for the town. Matt talks to Jeremy and is like, listen, if there's anything Elena needs, please let me know. I want to be able to help her. Like, this is my fault. I want to do everything I can. Jeremy's like, absolutely, but she's not mad at you. Everything's fine. Well, then April shows up, and two of my least liked characters, three of my least liked characters are in this season, okay? And April is one of them. There's just something about her, guys, like, she's so awkward every time she's on screen, okay? I watched one of Serena Skyborn's videos about Pretty Little Liars, and she was talking about Sarah Harvey and how she's just, like, unsettling every time she's on screen, and that's how I feel about April. Like, there's just something about her that I'm like, ugh, I wish you weren't talking. And I hate that. That's so mean. But it's how I feel about her, guys, okay? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm here to tell you the truth. But yeah, April is the pastor's daughter, and she's back in town for the funeral, but also now she's moving back to town. She's been at boarding school, and now she's gonna be at the high school with Jeremy. Elena calls Caroline and is like, hey, something's wrong. I'm having some transition issues. But Caroline doesn't answer, so then Stefan comes in and is like, I have champagne from the year you were born. Let's pop it and celebrate your first feed. And she's like, so here's the thing, it actually like made me sick. And he's like, oh, don't worry, I choked it down in the beginning too, it's no problem. And she's like, okay, sure, if you insist. They start celebrating together, and then Damon calls and is like, we have a problem. The pastor killed the entire council. Elena and Stefan rush to the grill to talk to Damon. She tries to sit beside him, but he's like, that seat is taken. And she's like, there's no one sitting here. And he's like, yeah, and I'm pretending like there is, because the alternative is too depressing to talk about. He's saving a seat for Rick. So she moves around him and is like, did you kill the people? And he's like, why does everybody keep asking me that? Do I have a council killer t-shirt on? Like, no, I didn't kill the council members. She tells him about the animal blood situation and how she can't keep it down. And he's like, okay, well, pick a human and we'll get you one. And she's like, no, I don't want to do that. And he's like, okay. So he takes her into the bathroom and is like, here you go, feed off me. And she's like, why would I do that? And he's like, because you need blood from the vein and this could help, okay? Just don't tell Stefan. And she's like, why can't I tell Stefan? And he's like, because blood sharing is personal. And I would say it is, okay? This is a lot, all right? So she starts feeding off of him, and the way he collapses back against the stall door, I need a minute. I have to go, okay? I'm needed somewhere else. Tyler and Caroline are hooking up, and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. People just died. And he's like, grief hookups are a thing, like, don't freak out. And it's funny. They end up saying I love you to each other, and it's a sweet moment. But then Connor shows up and he's talking to the mayor, and he's like, you know, why is the town covering up what happened at the pastor's farm? I know it wasn't a gas leak. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about, you need to leave. Tyler comes downstairs and he's like, can I help you with something? And Connor's like, yeah, maybe. Connor Jordan. And he goes to shake his hand, and when he does, Tyler's like, oh my God, my hand, because the guy's wearing gloves and they're like steeped in vervain. So then he just whips out a gun and is like, pow, 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 and gets Tyler. Tyler's unconscious on the ground. His mom is like, ah, Tyler, because he goes to stake him, and then Tyler jumps up and jumps out the window and runs off into the woods, and Connor follows him. Then Caroline comes running down the stairs half dressed, and her and Carol are like, oh, what's happening? Caroline and Tyler end up at Stefan's house, and Tyler is on the couch, and Stefan is like pulling the bullets out of him carefully, and Stefan basically is like, if you were a regular vampire, like, this absolutely would have killed you. Your werewolf side is the only reason why you're okay right now. And on the bullets, Stefan can't touch them with his skin. He's like holding them with tongs because they hurt him just from like touching him just a little bit, which normally wood only hurts them if it's like in them. Like, that's the only time that it's like painful. So that's weird that he can't touch the bullets. And then on them there's these little like rune stave markings, and Stefan doesn't understand what they are. Everybody acts like they don't know what these are. It's very clearly Nordic runes. I will never understand how no one seems to know what a Nordic rune looks like. I've never gotten it, okay? At the funeral memorial for everybody that died at the pastor's house, Elena is really struggling. She can't hold it together because when she thinks about how many people died and how their loved ones must feel, she just gets overwhelmed with her compassion and she wants to burst into tears. She talks to April, and April tells her that she's really upset because everybody hates her dad now and she doesn't know how to like exist in the town, and she's worried that if she can't speak at the funeral, no one's gonna speak at the funeral because they're all mad at her father. Elena, while hugging her, freaks out, and initially we think it's because she's gonna bite April, but then she runs off into the bathroom and starts just like projectile exorcist vomiting all the blood she took from Damon. Stefan goes to see Bonnie. She is not doing well, but she invites him in for the first time so that he can talk to her. She's at Grams's house. Once she tells him what's going on, he explains that what happened to Grams was probably just a fear tactic, just from the spirits like giving her like a brutal warning to be like, we warned you and now we're like gonna mess with your head. And she's like, well, it worked. I can't do magic anymore. Now I'm terrified. He asks about the markings on the runes, and even Bonnie is like, I don't know what these are. How does no one know what Nordic runes are? I don't understand. Do y'all just not have those in Mystic Falls? I don't get it. I don't know how no one's seen them before. It makes no sense. Damon comes to help Elena in the bathroom. Connor is there trying to get into the bathroom. So Damon brings her a change of clothes, and then she like haphazardly cleans up. She does not do a good job of it. Okay, there's blood everywhere. It's very hard to get it fully clean. Knowing that something is funky, Connor attacks April while she's like up on the balcony. You know, like when you're in a church room and there's like the big church area, and in front there's like the pulpit and everything. Okay, up above there's like a little upper balcony space, and that's where April is sitting. Like when you first come in, there's usually like the bell tower right there, and if you go up, there'll be like a balcony over the congregation. Yes, sorry, big description to tell you that that's where she's at, okay? So she's at the back of the church above the front doors on a balcony. He stabs her and then ties her up and leaves her there. Damon brings Elena a blood bag. She cannot eat it. She starts choking it up, and he's like, whoa, girl, we can't be doing this in public. And she's like, I know, something's wrong. I'm gonna die. Why can't I keep blood down? And he's like, you're not gonna die. You're fine. You need fresh blood from the vein. You're gonna be fine. We're gonna get through this. Everything's gonna be okay. She immediately calms down and is like, okay, I have to go back inside. So she goes back inside. Stefan sees Damon with the blood bag, and Damon's like, oh, wonderful. This is gonna go well. Stefan's like, why can't you just respect my wishes? And Damon's like, because she's dying and she's lying to you, okay? She can't keep the bunny blood down. She couldn't even keep my blood down. She needs fresh blood from the vein. And Stefan's like, what was that second thing you just said, Damon? And Damon's like, shit, my bad. So then the brothers get into a tussle. Elena goes back inside to sit with Matt and Jeremy. The gang's kind of on one row right there together, just like separated out. And when Carol starts the ceremony, she calls for April to come up and talk about her dad. April does not come because Connor has her tied up on the balcony, remember? And he's sitting up there with a big gun with wooden bullets, ready to get somebody. And Elena goes up instead, but then she's sick, and there's a lot of blood in the room, so she starts kind of like hyperventilating, freaking out at the front of the room. They all start to smell April's blood at the same time from where they're at in the room, and she's up behind them. And Damon's like, nobody move. It's a trap. And everybody's like, what's going on? What is this? So they very quickly get Elena down, and they just act like she is having like a breakdown over everything. And Carol comes up and is like, okay guys, let's just sing. So then they all start singing. So they're singing, filling the hall while the gang is whispering to each other. I love this scene, okay? So the church is singing all around them, and then the gang is just whispering still to each other. And Damon's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go kill him. And Stefan's like, no, Damon, oh my God, don't move. And Damon's like, oh, you have about 10 seconds, and then I'm gonna go old school on the new guy. And they're like, no, Damon, you can't do that. And he's like, all right, well, 3, 2, 1, here I go, bye. And he goes to leave, and Matt is like, wait a second, Elena, feed off me. And he gets Elena to like curl up on his chest, and he acts like he's comforting her, and she just like quietly bites him because Elena is like seconds away from just full vampire mode, ruining everything, giving everything away, running up to the back of the congregation to get April. And they know that if she does that, Connor's gonna attack. So she feeds off of Matt. Everything's fine. You'd be so proud of Elena. She's able to control herself, and she lets go of Matt, and all is well. Now that she's better, Elena wants to rush to help April because they know that there's so much blood, something's really wrong with her. And Stefan is like, we can't, it's a trap. But then Tyler gets up on stage and is like, hey, I'm interrupting the singing to tell you all that I really loved the pastor. He was such a good guy. He's the one that got me into sports. He's the one that taught me that it's important to give up yourself for the community, and you're more important when you're part of a group. And then boom, he gets shot by Connor. Damon immediately takes off to go kill Connor. Caroline gets the stake out of Tyler while the congregation is just fleeing the scene and running away. Carol wants to call an ambulance, and Caroline's like, he's gonna be fine. And Carol's like, the entire town just saw him get shot. Okay, I have to call an ambulance. Stefan stops Connor from staking Damon, and then when Damon gets up and Connor gets away, Stefan punches him in the face. Elena runs to help April, but then immediately gets overwhelmed by the amount of blood. She nearly attacks April, and then Caroline is like, no, we don't do this. And she talks her down, and she's like, this is an orphan. This is our friend. She needs our help, Elena. You have to be stronger than this. And she teaches Elena how to help April by Caroline heals her, and then Elena does the compulsion on her under Caroline's instruction, and it works, and April's gonna be fine. Connor sees the blood on Matt's neck at the grill, and he's like, what happened to you? And Matt's like, oh, my girlfriend got a little carried away. And then Connor and Jeremy are talking, and Jeremy's like, nice ink on his like arm. He sees a tattoo on his arm. And when they walk outside, Matt is like, what are you talking about? There was no tattoo. And Jeremy's like, yeah, it was huge. You didn't see it? And then we see Connor sitting at the grill, like like very perturbed that Jeremy seems to have seen his tattoo, and it vanishes. So does he have a tattoo or not? Connor goes home and opens the note that was left for April that he found in the stove. Basically, her dad was like apologizing to her that he had to leave this way, and he said, you know, his death was the sign of like greater evil to come. It's just the beginning. She needs to be careful, blah, 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 impending doom. Stefan freaks out on Elena for feeding on Damon, because apparently that's a big sensitive topic amongst the vamps, okay? This is the first time it's become an issue. As I said before, most people do it and we don't know that anything's special about it. It just seems kind of kinky. But now it's like, I can't believe you let Damon share your blood. Like, well, that's terrible. And she starts crying and she's like, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was a big deal. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not keeping blood down. Something's wrong with me. He immediately feels bad and is like, look, just come with me. There's something we need to do. He takes her to the high school where the gang is waiting. They were planning on, after the memorial for the people that died in the fire, they were going to release paper lanterns as a town to like memorialize the dead and grieve, because there have been so many deaths in the last 2 years, but they didn't get to because Tyler got shot. So now they're gonna do that. Damon pitches a fit. They all start lighting them for different people. So Stefan lights one for Zach and Lexi and Rick, and Jeremy lights one for Jenna and their parents and Anna and Vicky. Matt lights one for Vicky. Bonnie lights one for Grams. When they try to give Damon the lighter, he freaks out and leaves and is like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and just storms off. Elena goes and she lights one for everybody, because of course she does, and then she's like, and also myself, I guess. And then they send the lanterns off. Like, these are the moments that people don't like Elena for. There's a lot of Elena slander out there. She does tend to make things about her, but we've got to remember she's our main character. The story is quite literally about her, okay? We cut to yet another of my favorite scenes. This is one of like the best seasons. There's just like so many really good moments in this season of the show, but this is a really special one. Damon is at the cemetery at Rick's grave drinking, and he's basically like, I can't believe you left me here to babysit. Like, they're lighting lanterns off as if that's gonna do anything. Like, they're just such children, Rick. Like, they don't understand that when you lose somebody, it doesn't matter if you pray about it or light a lantern or burn a candle or whatever. They're just gone, and there's no getting them back, and there's just a hole where that person is supposed to be for you. Oh my God. The camera pans and we see Rick sitting there with him listening. Kill me. And then Damon is like, I just can't believe you left me here to babysit. I should have been gone by now. I didn't get the girl. And now I just can't leave. Like, I can't leave because you're not here. Rick watches him walk away. Damon left half the bottle for him. And he's just like, oh, I miss you too, buddy. We open episode 3 with Tyler in the hospital. He wakes up because there's a guard outside his room, but Connor is in the hospital and gets the guard away and knocks him out, and Tyler hears that. So Tyler wakes up. Connor is coming to his door, but when Connor gets inside, Tyler's not there. He's like, where did he go? He was just here. Tyler jumps out and attacks him. They get into a fight, but Connor uses a paralytic on him, so Tyler can't fight back. Then Connor like lifts his like mouth open and goes behind Tyler's fangs and freaking like pulls out venom. I don't like the implications of what that means for Tyler's mouth. He's got venom pockets now? No, absolutely not. I could have gone my whole life without thinking about the logistics of where the vampire werewolf venom lives. Connor, of course, is gonna distill down the werewolf venom to make it into a weapon. Stefan buys a motorcycle because he wants to teach Elena how to have fun. Damon is planning to go after Connor so that he can leave town finally. Because remember, that was the deal the boys made, like whoever Elena picks, the other one was supposed to leave town, but they can't really leave right now because they need Damon's help. Matt meets up with Elena at their old makeout spot, and she is feeding from him now routinely. She feels bad about it and is like, I can't believe I'm using you as like my own personal blood bag. And he's like, please, I'm so happy to help you. Like, this is the least that I can do. You are like this because of me. And he really genuinely means it. Like, I think Matt is the kind of guy that goes through life like needing a purpose, and for him specifically, he seems to gravitate towards like helping people, which is why I think that for so long Elena and Matt made sense as a couple, because they want a lot of the same things out of life, they just don't make sense together as more than friends. We learn from Matt that the town has a curfew in force now, because now that all the council is dead, everybody's a little freaked out. Klaus comes back to town to help Tyler, since the hybrids are like a dying breed now that Elena's blood's been destroyed and he can't make any more of them. He doesn't want to lose them, so he has got hybrids stationed with Tyler to keep him safe. At school, Elena has a really hard time being in Rick's classroom again, and then Rebecca comes in and Elena's like immediately filled with rage, because Rebecca is just a raging asshole, okay? She makes fun about Rick dying, she torments Elena, she's also having a party to celebrate curfew. She's like, anti-curfew party at my house, everybody come party. Elena ends up throwing a pencil at Rebecca, and then Rebecca grabs it, turns it around, and stabs Elena with it. Connor shows up at school to talk to Jeremy. When Elena rushes outside into the hallway to clean herself up, Connor is there trying to talk to Jeremy. Elena goes to go after him, and Stefan is like, you are literally bleeding right now. You need to go clean up. I'll go handle this, okay? We're gonna be fine. But in the bathroom, Elena is cleaning herself, and a girl comes in behind her and is like, oh my God, Elena, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. Leave me alone. And she's like, oh, Rebecca wanted me to check on you, but you're okay? And Elena's like, yeah, I'm fine. And she's like, oh, okay. I'm not. And that's when Elena realizes that the girl has been bitten and is bleeding from the neck. And Elena's like, you need to go away. You can't be in here with me. Rebecca comes in and is like, what's wrong, Elena? She's delicious. And starts like touching the blood and putting it on Elena's face. Elena freaks out, but she doesn't hurt the girl, okay? But I'm talking, Rebecca ends up taking the blood and just like blah, 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 all over Elena's face, okay? It is really not fun. And Elena just goes full feral on her. Connor talks to Jeremy in an empty classroom while Stefan listens in. He basically explains that he needs to know what Jeremy knows because the tattoo is hidden. And Jeremy's like, what are you talking about? And Connor's like, well, the fact that you can see it must mean something. I'm not really sure what. I call it a hunter's mark, and it's only visible to fellow vampire hunters. He tells Jeremy that if he wants to know more than that, he's gonna have to come meet him somewhere private. Damon goes to Connor's trailer looking for him, and instead finds these really cool like arrows that booby trap him, and they are attached to bombs, so if he's not careful, he will blow up the trailer that he is standing inside. Caroline and Stefan have to talk Elena down from wanting to kill Rebecca because it's just not worth it. They convince her to go to the party that Rebecca's throwing and just try to have fun, because Rebecca is just being mean to be mean. There's really no point in her actions. There's no like getting even with her. She's just being a bitch, so they need to just rise above it and move on. Elena agrees and is like, whatever, I'll go get ready, and they leave. Tyler is at home, and a girl comes in to see him, and that girl is Haley. Yay! Now look, once again, I'm gonna tell you guys, she's one of my least favorite characters. This is 2 of 3 now that we have met. I know, okay, without spoiling anything for anyone, please don't spoil it in the comments either, okay, because it's a big thing that's coming. But I know that Haley is involved in the spin-offs, and I know that a lot of people like her in the spin-offs. We're gonna get to that, okay, but for right now, I really don't like her, and I'll tell you why in a minute. It's coming soon. She is basically Tyler's friend that was with him in the mountains, and she's like, you left without saying goodbye, and I was just coming to see if you're okay, and clearly you're not. And he's like, yeah, you have no idea. There is so much shit going down in town right now. Damon calls Meredith to help get him out of the booby trap, and she comes to help him. They have kind of a tie to each other from Rick. It's not really romantic. It's also not really platonic. It's just kind of like they both loved Rick and now they are alone and they could help each other or they can be sad. Would you guys like to meet Oliver? He's here. They got to meet Elijah last time. They got to meet you. Say hello. He's like, I just want to get down. I've had my nap. I just want to get down. Okay. I love you. Run free, little man. When he jumps like a flying squirrel, just like all 4 limbs, spread eagle, and then he just like lands. It's ridiculous. Rebecca tries to invite Matt to her party and apologize to him for, you know, literally trying to kill him, and he just is having none of it and just walks away from her. Connor interrupts Matt in the hallway and snatches the bandage off his arm so he can clearly see the bite marks that Matt's been hiding, and he's like, "Your girlfriend, huh? Tell me which one of your friends is a vampire." And then Matt tells him that it's Rebecca. Damon comes home to Elena tearing through his room saying that she's looking for alcohol. He says that it's in the top drawer of his dresser, and then when she goes to look for it, that's his underwear drawer. And he's like, "Girl, I know you're looking for the white oak steak, okay? You need to get it together. I'm not giving that to you." And she's like, "Why not? Why can't I have it?" And he's like, "Because I'm not an idiot, and you're not gonna go after Rebecca, okay? We're not doing this. You can't have it." Well, he's changing his clothes while this is happening, and he starts to take off his pants, and he's like, "Are you staying for the show? Or are you leaving?" And she hesitates, but then she leaves. Jeremy goes to Connor to talk to him. Connor is like, "So what are your vampire friends' names? Tell me who they are." And Jeremy's like, "Well, I don't actually know, but I do know that the doctor, Meredith, probably at least knows one of them because she uses vampire blood to heal her patients." So Connor and Jeremy take off for the hospital. Connor also says that he put something in the drinks that everybody at Rebecca's party is going to be having, and the vampires will be dead. Any of them that go to that party will be dead. Caroline goes to try to get Tyler out of his house to sneak him to the party, but he says that he can't go, and then gives away that the hybrids are watching him for Klaus. So Klaus is involved in all of this, and if he tries to sneak out, Klaus is gonna be pissed. Caroline's like, "What the heck? I can't believe he's back." We cut to Haley in a different room of the house. Klaus comes in and sees her and is like, "Now who the heck are you?" And she's like, "I'm Haley. Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Klaus." And she's like, "Oh, I don't like you. Already I despise you. I've heard enough about you to know that you're stupid and awful." And he's like, "Wow, okay, I haven't heard anything about you. I wonder why." And then he like vamp hears Caroline at the door, and Tyler is like, "You go to the party without me. I don't need to go to the party. You go to the party without me." And Klaus is like, "Oh, I understand. I see what's happening here. Do you guys see what's happening here? Because when I tell you I'm livid, I'm livid." Elena runs into April at the party and they start talking. April tells her that she doesn't think it was an accident what happened to her dad, and she wishes there was more that she could do to find out, but she just doesn't even know who to ask or if anybody will even believe her. She's like, "But with the fire and with the shooting at the church, like it just feels like something's wrong." Rebecca comes in and is like, "I know, it feels like something wicked this way comes, doesn't it?" Elena's like, "April, go look at the rest of the house. I'll meet you in a minute." And April's like, "Okay." She leaves, and then Rebecca and Elena have another little sparring match against each other. Somehow, Rebecca snatches Elena's ring off her finger, so then Elena starts burning because she's just standing in the kitchen in the sun. She runs into the corner to hide, and Rebecca's like, "Come get your ring yourself, idiot," and throws it in the sink and turns on the little drain thingy, garbage disposal. Nightmare. That's what I hate that. I hate that in movies. I hate when people put their hand, oh no. So Elena ends up having to like run out, turn it off, grab the ring, put it back on, so she's fine. But now she's really angry. So she goes to grab the steak out of her bag. That's right, Damon gave her the steak. But before she can run off after Rebecca, Stefan shows up and is like, hold on. And she's like, "What are you gonna do? Stop me?" And he's like, "No, if you wanna go kill Rebecca, go ahead, be my guest. But I am gonna tell you, it's gonna feel good for like 10 seconds, and then that rage and that happiness are gonna be replaced with guilt, because Rebecca's gonna die and every vampire in her bloodline's gonna die, and you're gonna be responsible for hundreds of deaths in 1 second. Is that really what you want to do?" She knows that it's not really what she wants, so he convinces her to go on a ride with him on the motorcycle and just have fun and forget about Rebecca and stop letting her control her thoughts. Elena agrees, but before she leaves, she does a solo handstand on the keg and drinks from it to make everybody be like, "Oh my god, Elena, you're so cool," which just like annoys Rebecca, and then Elena and Stefan leave. Rebecca starts to get dizzy because something, werewolf venom, was in the drinks, which means, uh-oh, Elena just drank it too. Klaus confronts Tyler about the whole Caroline Haley situation, and Tyler's like, "You don't know anything, keep your mouth shut." And Klaus is like, "I think I know exactly what I need to know, Tyler. You met Haley, tensions ran wild, and then something happened that you can't take back." So basically, Tyler and Haley were together in the mountains, and Tyler and Haley cheated on Caroline together. Damon calls Tyler, but Klaus answers, and Klaus is like, yeah, no, he doesn't want to help you track down the hunter, Damon. But I sure do. So Klaus is gonna go be besties with Damon now. Don't they make just like a terrifying friendship couple in y'all's mind? Like, oh my god. Stefan and Elena go on the ride on the bike, and Elena ends up standing up behind him and just like holding her arms out, and it's a cute little scene. Connor and Jeremy get to the hospital, but then Damon and Klaus are there. They kind of ambush them. They get Connor into like a secluded storage area and booby trap him with his own arrow bombs, so he's like stuck in the middle of the floor, and then Klaus and Damon are going to be able to talk to him now. Stefan and Elena start to get freaky, and then because she's sick with the werewolf venom, she starts seeing Damon instead of Stefan, so they realize something's wrong, and when she pulls up her sleeve, they see the werewolf venom moving under her skin, and they're like, oh no, there was something in the drinks. Matt sees Rebecca, and she's like, I can't believe you came here, and he's like, yeah, well, I just wanted to talk to you because I need to tell you how I'm feeling since you told me how you're feeling. And she's like, okay, tell me. And he's like, you know, I think you're amazing. You're 1,000 years old, you've had all this time to grow and learn and change, and somehow, anyway, Matt says she had all that time to be a better person and she threw it away, and now she's all alone and no one cares about her, and her brothers don't even love her. She's got no family, no friends, everything about her life is fake. She freaks out on him and rips out his heart, and then realizes it's a fever dream and he's fine, she didn't kill Matt. Klaus and Damon want info from Connor before they kill him, but Connor really doesn't know anything. Damon mentions the disappearing tattoo and how he wants to know about that, and the second he says it, Klaus is like, the disappearing what now? You have a what? Connor attacks Klaus with the stake, and Klaus sees the rune stave and is like, oh, I know what this is. What the heck? You're one of the 5. And then Connor freaks out and is like, I'm faster than a normal hunter, and pulls the arrow bomb so that he's trying to kill all 3 of them. Damon gets blown out of the room, and Klaus and Connor are left inside, but we can assume that Klaus got out. Elena keeps thinking about Damon in her fever state, and she keeps asking him, like, what is it? Why am I thinking about you? And he's like, you're a vampire now, and part of you knows you're more like me than you are like him. Klaus shows up and is basically like, you know, Stefan, you need to be grateful I'm here, because if I'd left town like you said you wanted me to, who would be saving Elena right now? No one. He lets it slip that he might know something and she might actually be useful to him now, so he does save Elena and she's gonna be fine. April finds Rebecca in her room. Rebecca's doing better now because the werewolf venom won't kill her, it just made her really sick. April is cleaning up after the party, and Rebecca's like, why are you still here? And April's like, well, cleaning up is better than going home alone and thinking about the fact that I don't have any friends. And then Rebecca offers to help April find out what happened to her family. Caroline goes to see Stefan. He wanted to talk to her because he's really worried about Elena. He basically is like, you know, she is changing and turning into this new version of herself, and I want her to be able to enjoy it, but if I let her be that person, I'm afraid that Ripper Stefan's gonna come out and I'm not gonna be able to control myself, and then what am I gonna do? Like, she's not gonna be safe with me because I'm not gonna be safe. And Caroline is like, look, I would do anything to keep Elena from ending up with Damon or ending up like Damon. So if it means that you have to come to me and I'm basically like your AA sponsor, then we'll do it. I'll keep you from becoming Ripper Stefan because you helped me when I was turning, and I can be there for you now. Matt comes over to Elena and apologizes for the fact that he didn't realize that setting Rebecca as a target would put Elena in danger. And she's like, dude, you had no way of knowing that I was gonna go to the party. Like, don't worry about it. It's not your fault. But she is dealing with all these emotions in this conversation with Matt, and for some reason neither of them are like, maybe it's not a great idea for you to feed right now, but she feeds off of Matt and then freaks out and hurts him. She like nearly takes his arm off. Damon shows up though and stops it. He gets Elena under control, and then he uses compulsion on Matt and gets him cleaned up, so Matt's fine. Elena feels terrible, and Damon is like, no, you don't need to be ashamed of this. You don't need to be upset. You didn't do anything wrong. Everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna teach you how to do this the right way, and she agrees. Connor wakes up back in his trailer with Klaus. Connor's like, what did you mean before when you said I was one of the 5? And Klaus realizes that Connor doesn't even know his own history. We open episode 4 with a flashback from the 12th century. There are a group of dudes in a circle in the woods holding swords, and there's a witch in the center of them doing a ritual. Once her spell is complete, oh, he's done. Are you done? Once she completes her spell, the tattoos start blossoming on the boys around her in the circle. Damon is planning to take Elena on a trip to college to teach her how to do the snatch, eat, release situation. She believes she needs to learn because for whatever reason, at this point, they kind of assume it's because she's a doppelganger. So there's like something funky with her where she can only accept blood from the vein. And because she knows that Stefan struggles with it, she wants to go with Damon so that it doesn't put any pressure on Stefan. Rebecca gives Matt a new truck, but he is not having it. Klaus shows up and is like, "You're way too eager to please the help. Like, this is ridiculous." He tells her about the whole Hunter's Mark, the 5 situation. She is immediately very intrigued and a little scared, but when he's just like, "Okay, come on, let's go. It's time for you to help me," she's like, there is no we, Klaus. I'm not helping you with anything, no. Elena and Damon take Bonnie with them when they go to the college campus because the person that took over her Grams's classes actually invited her, and he has some things that he wants to give her from Grams's stuff. This guy is that professor. The girls are immediately like, "Oh my god, he's so hot." He gives me such strong ick immediately, okay? He's like all the worst things about Joe from You in a college professor. Like, absolutely not. I would not trust this guy with a 10-foot pole. Connor's being kept at Klaus's, and Stefan shows up and wants to know what's going on and wants to help. Klaus gives in because now that Rebecca's not helping him, he doesn't have anybody else to turn to, so he agrees to let Stefan in on the plan. In a flashback, while Klaus explains everything, we see that the hunters were really dangerous. They were going around like spreading the word about vampires and killing people, killing vampires in front of people as like demonstrations and stuff like that. And the Michelsons knew about them, obviously, because they're like the head vampires, so they were on it. Rebecca was actually romantically involved with one of them, which was like a big red flag to all the brothers. And now Klaus wants Stefan to get Rebecca to agree to help because he needs information from Rebecca about that previous relationship to make everything come full circle. April runs into Matt at the grill. She's hanging out with Rebecca. Stefan shows up, interrupts the Matt situation, and tells April to be quiet, uses compulsion on her. And then he talks to Rebecca and is like, "Look, I know you don't want to work with Klaus, so work with me because I need to figure out what's going on here. And if you can help me do that, like, we can forget what happened and I will start over with you with a fresh slate." On the college campus, Damon tries to get Elena to pounce on a target, but when she goes to get the girl, she sees that there's like a picture of the girl and her little sister on her phone, and she just can't do it. Like, Elena can't fathom hurting people that are good. It's just like not going to be possible for her. So then Bonnie comes over and is like, "Hey, I found a flyer for a party tonight." Damon's like, "Perfect, we'll take you to this frat party and it'll just be Idiot Boy City and you can take your pick." Rebecca comes to dinner with Klaus and Stefan. After some initial fighting, Klaus and Rebecca make up. It's a very funny scene in which Stefan is like, "You know, I'm still sitting here and I could name on my hand about 1,000 people that I would rather be having dinner with." Klaus starts telling the story about the 5. He reveals that Alexander is the one that Rebecca was romantically involved with. Alexander and the other hunters were made to eradicate vampires, kind of similar to Michael was by Esther. They had the ultimate weapon that would help them kill vampires, and then their tattoo is actually a map. Jeremy is the only one that can see the map on Connor, so of course Klaus has Jeremy and he brings him in and he's like, "We're gonna have Jeremy write down the map and then we're gonna be able to use the map to follow it." We get the epic party scene in which Damon and the girls show up to this frat party dressed as Jack the Ripper and 2 of his victims, which is not the best taste, but it is what it is. Damon calls the professor creepy because, yeah, the professor's at the frat party. If that's not creepy, I don't know what else you need to know about him. But Bonnie is like, "Oh my god, Damon, no, he isn't. He's perfectly fine." Like, girl, are you blind all of a sudden? Good lord. Elena catches a guy slipping a girl something in her drink and immediately goes after him, and it's her first snatch, eat, release situation. She does sort of go a little crazy, but Damon gets her and is like, "Let him go. We have to let him go." And she does, and then she gets it under control. He's really proud of her and they hug. Jeremy starts drawing Connor's tattoo, and he explains to Connor that the only reason why he agreed to help them trick Connor into going to the hospital and almost getting killed was because Connor was threatening his friends. And Connor's like, I don't understand how you can call these guys your friends. Like, that one just threatened to kill you, talking about Klaus. So he's just not grasping that, like, some of the vampires are good, some of the vampires are evil. And Connor also explains here that he first saw the mark on somebody else, and then that was a friend from, like, his time in the war. When that guy died a few years later, the mark appeared on Connor, and then whenever Connor kills vampires, it, like, expands. And Jeremy is like, okay, and Connor's like, well, you can see the mark on me, dude, which means that you must be one of us. Like, I know the Gilbert history, you must also be a hunter. Klaus tells us that the brothers sent Rebecca after Alexander. She was in love with him, is the thing, but they sent her to be kind of like the infiltrator because they could only get so much info out of him. So they trusted her to get the rest of it. So, you know, her and Alexander are in bed. She can see the whole tattoo on him. She starts asking questions. Then she sees the bottle of white oak ash and the dagger. So that's the weapons that they have. And he explains, like, oh, this is like the ultimate weapon to kill like a special type of vampire, and you know, this is going to help us like eradicate the vampires completely. And then he asks if she's thought any more about coming with him when he leaves to follow the map on his tattoo to like the ultimate weapon treasure situation, and she agrees to it. And while they're kissing, he freaking daggers her. And I will tell you, like, he looks upset while he does it because she is like horrified, heartbroken, and he does look sad when it happens. And we kind of cut back and forth between watching that happen to her and Klaus explaining to Stefan that the hunters actually snuck into the house that night and daggered all of them. So the 4 brothers and Rebecca were all daggered at once. And Stefan's like, the daggers don't work on you. And Klaus is like, yeah, I know. So then we cut back to Rebecca waking up in bed. There's blood everywhere. Klaus went on a rampage, and Alexander is like stuck to the wall with his sword in his chest. Klaus goes off on Rebecca and is like, I know that there's more to this than what you told us. Like, there's no reason for you to like turn on your whole family. You made us all vulnerable. Like, what did he promise you? Tell me what he promised you. And it's so funny to me. This guy, the actor that plays Klaus, is so tall and thin, okay? But he is a yeller. And so he's all bowed up at her, and they shoot it from far away. Whenever it's like up close on him, it works. It makes me laugh when they zoom out and you can just see like how tiny he is stature-wise. Because like compared to Rebecca, he's not even that much bigger than her. But he's just yelling at her, and she admits that there was a cure. And that's what Alexander promised her, was that if they followed the map together, there would be a cure, she would take it, and she would be a human. In the present, Klaus starts picking at Rebecca because he wants her to leave again now, and he ends up being like, you know, you never learn, like, you're just always going after bad men, like men that don't really care about you. And she's like, yeah, clearly, because I'm still with your stupid ass, and you're the worst, and I wish I could just leave you. And in this moment, Rebecca realizes that the only reason why Klaus cares at all is because he, of course, wants the cure for Elena so that he can make more hybrids. So that's been the bane of her existence this entire time, is that he wants a hybrid family instead of just loving her and her siblings, so she leaves. Stefan, of course, agrees to help Elena because he wants to find the cure so that she can be human. Creepy Professor Shane has Bonnie in his office at night during the party time, and he is giving her things from Grams's office, and then she is like obsessed with all the stuff around his room. He's got like occult stuff everywhere, and he's like, it's things I collected on my travels. She asks him if he's a witch, and he's like, no, oh my gosh, I'm not. He asks if Bonnie practices the way that Grams did, and she tells him that, like, actually, no, she lost control of her powers, so she doesn't anymore. And then he explains that, like, there's other ways to practice magic, and he'd be happy to help her with it. We get the best dance scene ever, okay, in which Calvin Harris's I Feel So Close to You right now is just blasting. Blue lights are flashing. Elena and Damon are in the middle of a party. They're dancing, they're snatching, they're eating, they're releasing. Because there is Halloween costumes everywhere, no one worries about the blood on their faces. They get all close together. Later on, she's gonna call this dirty dancing. They are literally just like vibing in front of each other. I think that at one point, like, she might like put her hands around his neck. They're very far apart, okay? There's no grinding going on. It's not that big of a deal. It just looks like they're having the time of their lives, okay? Because remember, our girl Elena loves to dance. And you know who never dances with her? Stefan Salvatore. You know who has danced with her multiple times? Damon Salvatore, okay? So they're having fun. Let them enjoy this. It is not to be, because Bonnie shows up and is like, oh, I can't believe you're covered in blood dancing with Damon. And Elena is immediately like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm covered in blood dancing with Damon. I have to go. And she runs away. Klaus studies the drawings that Jeremy made and is like, this is not the full drawing. I've seen the tattoo before. What the heck? And Jeremy's like, well, this is all that it is. And actually, Connor told me that the more vampires he kills, the more of the mark shows up. So that must be all it is. Jeremy gets sent home after being compelled to forget everything because now they no longer need him. Connor thrashes in his restraints until a guard comes in. When the guard gets close enough to tighten them again, Connor like bites him and rips out the guy's industrial piercing, which is like a little, you know, bar with a double barbell situation, and he's gonna use that to pick his locks. Bonnie goes off on Damon for helping Elena and the fact that he's made everything worse. And he's like, Bonnie, you just don't want to admit that she already is like me, okay? We're vampires. If you can't make this fun, it will ruin you, okay? That's the big difference between Stefan and Damon, is that Damon can just let it go, realize that he's not a human anymore, he's got a different set of rules, and try to make the best out of it. And Stefan is like always fighting against his nature and trying to be something he's not. So Damon doesn't want to do that to Elena because he's like, she's not human Elena anymore, okay? She's vampire Elena. We have to figure out how to let her be herself, but nobody wants to accept that except for Damon. Stefan brings Rebecca back in and they talk kind of more calmed down. She says that she's sorry that she freaked out, but like Klaus just infuriates her and she can't help Stefan because she can't do anything to give Klaus what he wants. She ends up giving Stefan more info. So she says like, you know, I wanted the cure so badly before that I would have turned on my own family for it. I trusted Alexander. We were really in love. We were gonna get married. I was gonna take the cure and we were gonna be human together. It was gonna be amazing. And Stefan says he understands because he wants the cure for Elena and he would do anything for her, and like love like that is important. Again, because Rebecca is a hopeless romantic, she like starts telling him more, and she's like, you know, I buried him, like the church where we were gonna get married that we'd already picked out, that's where I buried his body. And I know that makes me like so silly and ridiculous, but I had to do it because I did love him and I don't regret that part of it. Well, then she realizes in horror, oh my God, that's what you wanted to know because I buried him with his sword. And Stefan is like, oh damn, yeah, that is what we wanted to know, dude, my bad. And then Klaus shows up and is like, haha, little sister, you big stupid idiot, because he can't just like be nice. Like, just don't gloat, dude. And this next situation would not have happened. But she goes off on him and calls him terrible and all these names. And she's like, you know, I might be silly and emotional and into love, but at least like I've lived my life. At least I've taken these chances and tried my best. And I would rather live my life than yours because you're all alone. You're so alone that you have to compel and create a new family for yourself. And then she's like, do it. Do it! Go ahead and do it! Look me in the eyes and do it! And he daggers her. So now Klaus is going after the sword, Stefan needs to handle Rebecca's body, and they need to bring nobody else in on this situation. Damon brings Elena home, they talk on the front porch. She says that she's sorry she let things get heated, she never should have dirty danced with him, which again, I would not call what they were doing dirty dancing, but okay. And she basically is like, you know, I hear what you say about vampires and I believe you. I know that you're right. I know that that's how I should be, but I don't want to be like you. And Damon's like, oh, do I have some news for you, girly pop? You already are. And then Stefan comes out and is like, what's going on here? How you guys doing? You guys doing good? go ahead and leave, Damon. I can take it from here. He says that he was talking to Jeremy, even though he was actually compelling Jeremy to forget everything. And then he lies to them about having updates on the hunter and basically is like, yeah, nothing happened. I don't know anything. Nothing happened today. Once Damon is gone, Elena freaks out about not thinking that she can handle being a vampire. And she's like, this is going to kill me. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. And Stefan gives her a hug and just insists that all she has to do is hold on and they're going to be okay. Connor breaks out of his chains and kills the hybrid that was watching him, which makes his tattoo spread. Once it spreads, the new symbol, it's like a pentagram. I'll see if I can find a picture of it. I'm sure there's going to be one, but it's like branches with runes carved on the branches. They also kind of look like smoke, and then there's these different symbols like depicting different things. This is like a big pentagram on his shoulder, and it's on display in Professor Shane's office. We cut to Professor Shane in his office. Connor comes in, and Shane is like, aren't you supposed to be in Mystic Falls killing vampires? And Connor's like, why did you send me there? And we cut to black. Right, so Shane is a trash man, okay? We open episode 5 with Shane and Connor talking about the situation, how it was so much worse in Mystic Falls than Shane said it would be. Shane insists that they need to get rid of the vampires, but they need to not hurt Bonnie because they need Bonnie, and Connor is like, anybody that gets in my way, I'm taking out. And Shane's like, okay, fine, I'll occupy Bonnie instead. At the grill, Connor shows up and snatches Jeremy. Elena wakes up in her room and is journaling about how much she hates being a vampire. She says that the only thing getting her through is Jeremy and the fact that she needs to be there for him and she doesn't want him to lose anybody else. Stefan is tandem riding with her, okay, so we're like split between the two of them. He says that he's really worried about Elena because she's spiraling ever since her transition, and most days he doesn't even recognize her anymore. He's willing to do absolutely anything to get the cure for her. Klaus is digging up the site of the church where Rebecca buried Alex's body to try to get the sword. Matt is at the grill calling Jeremy, being like, where are you? We open in an hour. You're supposed to be here. You're late. Remember, Jeremy got snatched already at the grill. April shows up and is like, Matt, do you know where Rebecca is? She promised she would help me figure out what happened at my dad's house. And Matt's like, you know, April, no, I don't know where Rebecca is. And you know what? I don't care. Okay, you're better off without her. Forget about her. And then Connor comes in the room holding Jeremy at knife point and is like, nobody move. Damon goes to Elena looking for Stefan, but she says she hasn't talked to him either. And he's like, oh, are you guys fighting since you told him about last night? And then we realize Elena did not tell him about last night. So Damon's like, oh, you're in a little shame spiral. And she's like, no, Damon, I'm fine. And he's like, I know a shame spiral when I see one, honey. And then he tries to call Stefan on her phone and Stefan still doesn't answer. So they both know something is wrong. Connor won't let April or Matt go. He says that he is going to hold them there so that their friends will come looking for them. And then one by one, he'll be able to just pick them off. The Supernatural gang wants to go in and just kill Connor, but Stefan shows up and is like, no one's going in until I see what we're dealing with. And Damon's like, I'm sorry, but since when are you the only one in charge here? Stefan has to like think fast because obviously Klaus doesn't want Connor dead, so they have to keep him alive. But Stefan's like, how do I do this without them knowing that I'm trying to do this for Klaus? So he starts like trying to cover for himself, and he's like, if we rush in, he could kill Jeremy. Elena, he's got werewolf in him. He could kill all of us. And Elena's like, yeah, okay. All right, he's right, Damon. We should wait a little bit. We should do a little recon. And Damon's like, fine, Stefan, you have 1 hour. Bonnie is in the office with Professor Shane just mooning over his books. It's giving like Ezra and Arya vibes, and I don't like it. Like, he's too old for her, and it's weird. He's so uncomfortably flirty with her, okay? And the more we learn about him, the angrier this fact is gonna make you. He has a lot of like weird mind control meditation stuff that he's planning to do with her. She thinks it sounds kind of hokey, but he's like, just trust me, Bonnie, it's gonna work. And he ends up doing like a little mini hypnosis trick on her where he distracts her, makes her think something's happening, and then like steals her earring. It's weird, but it works. So that's how he's gonna keep her occupied. He basically insisted that she turn her phone off so nobody knows where she is and nobody can contact her while they're doing this meditation, while Connor is killing all her friends. Stefan's plan is to basically sneak in and get everybody out while not killing Connor, but he can't really say that. So he's trying to like keep things a secret, whereas Damon is like, I think we need to sneak in and start with killing Connor, okay? So they're on different pages on what's the best thing to do because Stefan is lying to everybody. Damon decides they're gonna go in through the tunnels and he's ready to go. And then Elena is like, I'm coming with you. I have to help with Jeremy. And Damon's like, that's so funny. No, you're not. She proves herself to him by like tackling him and doing a little trick shot on him to be like, see, I could have killed you just then, but I didn't. He finds this incredibly hot. He's like, you are more like me than you even sort of begin to understand, dude. This is amazing. She tells him that Jeremy's the only thing keeping her together and he promises to get Jeremy out safe. In the grill, April is freaking out and Matt's trying to keep her calm. Jeremy goes to Connor and is like, you said April and I are missing memories. What are you talking about? And Connor's like, well, we had a whole conversation yesterday about my mark and the fact that you can see it and you don't know any of that because you're a vampire friends compelled you to forget. And Jeremy's like, oh my God, what is the truth? I don't know anymore. And then Connor explains that the mark on his arm and everything like leads to something. And if he could just get it to be fulfilled, he would know who he is and what he's supposed to be doing. Because he's never felt like he had a purpose in life, which funnily enough, doesn't that kind of sound like our boy Jeremy too? Stefan shows up to get the plan started and Damon immediately jumps on him and is like, we know you're lying, so you're either under compulsion or you're working with Klaus. Tell us the truth. Stefan lashes out at Damon and vervains him and knocks him out. Elena is like, I can't believe you just did that. Are you working with Klaus? And Stefan's like, no, but Damon's a loose cannon and we had to put him down so that we can do this safely and get everybody out in a controlled manner, Elena, okay? I know what I'm doing. Trust me. When she says she wants to go, he's like, no, Elena, you can't go, because what happens if while you're fighting back and defending yourself, you accidentally kill someone? That is gonna ruin you and you know it. You need to stay here and let me handle it. Caroline comes over and finds Haley in the house. I can't explain to you guys how enraged I am by Haley's attitude here, okay? So Caroline is rightfully like, who are you? Why are you in my boyfriend's house? What the fuck is going on? And Haley is like, oh, you must be Caroline. Sorry, I'm just one of Ty's friends. Like, I'm just Ty's friend. Like, he didn't mention me. And Caroline's like, no, he didn't. Who are you? And Haley's like, listen, I don't do this teen drama. Take it up with Ty if you have a problem. Like, girl, I can't stand it. She has to be different in the spinoff, okay? Because if she is the same, I find her so insufferable because like it's just written so poorly because the actress playing Haley is gorgeous, okay? If you're this pretty, existing in a body like this, okay, and you rock up into this situation where you're friends with a guy who has a girlfriend and you know that he has not told her about you and the girlfriend is threatened, if you hadn't done anything wrong, wouldn't you be like, listen, I'm sorry, I know this is kind of weird, I'm just Tyler's friend, like I was with him in the mountains, I was just helping him, I'm sorry that he didn't tell you, I promise, like nothing's going on, you don't have anything to be worried about, he's a great guy, but he's just my friend. Wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you just be normal about it? But no, Haley's gotta make it weird. So then we cut to Tyler in another part of the house talking to a hybrid, trying to convince them to not follow Klaus's orders because they know that if they go to the grill, Connor's gonna start killing them. But the hybrid is like, I have to do what Klaus says. Tyler tries to convince him and then is like, fine, I'll just call Klaus for you. So he does that. And then while he's on the phone, Klaus is like, you know, you better be careful, Tyler. You better not interfere because if you're not careful, I'll just tell Caroline about Haley, was it? Caroline hears that. So now even more red flags are going off in her brain and she's like, oh my God, he cheated on me. Well, Tyler immediately backs down and is like, yeah, do whatever you want to do to the hybrid and just gives up. And Haley is like, oh my God, you're not even gonna fight for him? And she chases Tyler off into another part of the house. Klaus finds the sword. Stefan calls Connor and insists that the hostages be released. Connor is like, yeah, I'll do that. Come inside and get them. And then Stefan is like, don't you want to know why Klaus kept you alive? Aren't you curious? And Connor hangs up on him and just starts freaking out and breaking the phone. April is really scared about the vampire talk because her dad told her stories when she was a kid, much like all of the founding families. Matt tells her that they're just stories, it's not a big deal. And then he starts trying to break them out of the storage room that they're in and through the tunnel, but the tunnel's been bricked over on their end. So when he starts like chipping away at the bricks, Stefan is down below in the tunnel system trying to get to them, and he hears that and follows it. When the hybrid that Tyler tried to stop comes inside, Connor kills him, and oh my God, is this scene gory. Oh my God. Stefan shows up and gets Matt and April out safely. Damon wakes up and Elena realizes that Stefan took Damon's freaking daylight ring. So now he can't go anywhere. So the two of them realize something is really wrong. He must be working with Klaus. Like there is something going on. And Damon tells Elena, he's like, you get in there, you be smart because Connor doesn't know you're a vampire. So get close to him and then kill him. In the grill, Stefan tries to convince Connor to come with him, but Connor is like holding Jeremy at gunpoint and is like, you come out, Stefan, and then I'll think about it. Elena rushes inside and she's like, please don't kill my brother. He's the only one I have. Like, please don't take him from me. Like, I'm begging you. And Connor is kind of just like, yeah, you hear that, Stefan? You either come out or I'm going to kill the boy right in front of your girl. Is that what you want? So Stefan shows himself. Connor fires and hits Jeremy. The bomb that they were building earlier in the grill goes off. So now there's been an explosion. Elena jumps on Connor to kill him, but Connor gets her flipped and starts to stake her. And then Stefan shows up, knocks Connor off of Elena, and then runs away. Elena is fine and she ends up healing Jeremy. She has the like vampire reaction to the blood, but she doesn't hurt him. And he tells her, he's like, I trust you. You're not going to hurt me. It's okay. I'm not afraid of you. And while talking to Jeremy here, she realizes that Jeremy's memories were taken and she knows exactly who did it. And she's like, something is fishy and I know something's wrong. In the tunnels, Damon confronts Stefan and is like, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what you're doing for Klaus. Stefan is like, this doesn't have anything to do with Klaus. You're gonna have to trust me. Damon is like, you're gonna have to do better than that because I want to kill him. Stefan releases Connor and tells him to run. So Connor goes sprinting off down the tunnels and the boys start fighting. Well, Damon gets Stefan pinned, gets his hand in his chest and is like holding Stefan's heart and is like, tell me what's going on. And Stefan's just like, I can't. Klaus will kill anybody that knows. And Damon's like, I don't care. I'm gonna kill you. Tell me what's going on. And Stefan spills the beans on everything and tells him what's happening and that there's a cure. And Damon lets Stefan go and is just kind of standing there like, a cure? There's no cure. Like, this isn't real. But Stefan's like, no, it is, I promise. Elena shows up in the tunnels and attacks Connor. He pulls a stake on her and stabs her. He misses, and then she freaking breaks his neck. Shane and Bonnie are still meditating in his office. That's right, they've been meditating for 7 hours. Is that not the creepiest thing you've ever heard in your entire life? What? I hate it. But she thinks it's really cool and like mysterious and awesome. And she's like, did it work? And he's like, you tell me. And she does a spell for the first time in weeks. The boys catch Elena burying Connor's body in the woods. She freaks out. She's upset with Stefan for lying to her and keeping things a secret. She heard everything that was said. And she's like, I know that you were lying. I can't believe you did this. And then she freaks out on Damon because she's like, you told me to kill him and I did. Like, I can't believe I did this. I'm never going to recover. Caroline comes home and sees Tyler and Haley holding each other. Hello? She goes off and Haley's like, I'm gonna give you guys some space. And she's like, oh, are you? Thank you so much. And I'm just like, girl, same. Like Caroline's reactions, you think about how like Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs Caroline's been in the past. The way she handles Haley, she is so restrained and calm. The way I would have ripped that girl's head off. Are we kidding? Tyler explains very quickly that Haley saved his life when he was in the woods. He almost died. The sire bond breaking situation was really, really bad. And Haley saved him. But that is it. He's like, we have a close bond. She's a really good friend. But I promise you, that's it. And Caroline's like, why didn't you just tell me that? Why does Klaus think there's something going on with you? And Tyler's like, because that's what we want him to think. Because the reality of the situation is Tyler and Haley were working together to break the hybrid sire bonds on other people. So they've been trying to do that and kind of subsequently making their own like little werewolf pack of hybrids together that they're saving from Klaus. And it's better if Klaus thinks that they're having a secret hookup instead of secretly working behind his back. Jeremy and Matt give April a vervain bracelet to keep her safe. Matt asks Jeremy if he's doing okay, and Jeremy's like, I'm just really sick of the secrets. Speaking of Jeremy's secrets, he sees the beginning of a hunter's mark forming on his hand. Stefan and Damon discuss the situation with Klaus. Stefan doesn't want Elena to know the full truth, so she only heard part of what the boys were saying in the tunnels. She doesn't know about the cure, and she doesn't know about the fact that killing Connor took away the map, which would give them the map to the cure. He's like, we can't tell her about that. She has to just not know that that's a thing. Stefan's just like, we'll just find another hunter. There's got to be more out there. Klaus said there were 5 of them, so there's at least 4 more floating around. We'll just find another one and it'll be fine. Damon wants to know why Stefan wants the cure so badly. He's like, do you want it because you don't want her to be a vampire anymore, or because you can't love her this way? And Stefan's like, I love her so much, okay? But this isn't her. This isn't what she wants, and I want to give her the life that she wants back. And Damon's like, okay, well, I just want you to know that I love her either way. I don't care if she's a human, if she's a vampire. I just love her, and she's enough for me. So if I help you do this, I'm doing it for you. Elena journals about the killing and is like kind of freaking out about it. She's saying that she feels like she really lost herself and now she really doesn't know who she is anymore. She ends up seeing blood on the page, and then when she turns, there's like a trail of blood leading to her bathroom, and she's like, oh, what's going on? She opens the door. Inside, it's just a horrific blood-splattered mess, and on the mirror is the word killer written in blood. Not good. And then all of a sudden, it's gone, and it was like a weird hallucination. That is where we're gonna stop today. I hope you guys enjoyed season 4. Like I said, wild ride. We have met all the 3 characters that are like my least favorite characters. There's a couple more people that like I don't really love, but these 3, oh my god, they irritate me so much. And they're just all in one season, which I think makes it like a bing bang boom. All of the people that have been introduced, I wish hadn't been introduced. I didn't need to meet them. They didn't need to come for me, but it's fine. If you enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm here every single Friday. I love talking to you guys down below, so please go ahead, comment away, tell me what you're excited about. Tell me your opinions on April, Haley, and Shane. Although, again, please, spoilers. Let's just be wary of those, because as we get closer to the ending of the season, there's like more really intense things that are going to be happening. I hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you so soon. Have a good one. Bye.